Hey everyone, Brian Castro here again from Front Cap Full. I'm a little bit sick, so excuse my voice, it's a little odd. But I wanted to show everyone, as promised, right? I even commented on my other video, part 1, for doing my driver door, that I wanted to show everybody how to configure that that actual hinge right there, right? So when it lifts up, when it scissors, and how far it comes out, and all those different pieces. So that's what I'm doing today. So I got my car apart again, as you can see. And I'm gonna start doing that now, and then I will show you all the things that you need to be aware of before putting your fender back on. And again, this is for a Model 3. So on the Vertical Doors website, there's really not instructions. They have a scan me code, but it doesn't go anywhere. It just goes to like their main website. So I'm here to show you that for a Model 3, this is what you do. This is how you do it. This is what you need to be aware of. Before you put your fender back on, before you do everything. Unfortunately, I put mine all back together and now I took it all apart. The fender has 10 bolts or whatever. So it's not horrible to take off, but just a little annoying that I didn't know that before. So now I'm gonna make use of that, and I'm gonna show everyone out there of the configuration and what you put grease on and how everything works, okay? So that you guys can do it the first time and do it correct the first time. So with that said, let me go ahead and get going here and show everybody what all this looks like. All right, so the first thing I'll say is when you're adjusting these bolts, right? This is the bolts that hold the hinge on the car. So there's 2 on top and there's 2 on bottom over here. You do not want to loosen these by any stretch. You just literally want to you want to tighten them all the way down and give them like a quarter turn, maybe backwards, right? Loosening. And then the key that I found out is getting a piece of wood and getting a hammer. And what you're doing is when you're adjusting this door, right? So when it closes and you have your gaps here, you're trying to do the gaps. When you're trying to move this, you don't want to move this like a lot. You want to move it like 1 millimeter this way and then test your door, and then move the bottom. If you're just like, oh, I have a little gap here too much or too little, then move the bottom, right? Because you're teetering this thing. You don't want to move. If you move this thing even a quarter of an inch, your door is going to be 10 inches off, right? I mean, that's just the way this works. So you want to make sure that you're just giving these bolts a slight loosening, getting that piece of wood, again, this wood, right? And you want to just kind of tap this. I was just tapping this over here. I'd open the door here, and I'd come over here, and I'd put the piece of wood, right there on the thing, and I'd tap it from here that way, and then I would test it. I'm coming back and forth, and I'm just moving little by little to make sure that, my gaps here are not messing up immensely. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, same thing on the door hinges. When there's one here and there's one at the bottom. Same concept. You do not want to be loosening these by any means, and that brings your door in and out, like the depth, how close it is, so that when it closes, that this depth is good to go. So the same thing there. Now, the next thing, which they didn't really tell you or tell me, is that this nub right here, they call this a nub. I had to talk to the guy on the phone. This part of the hinge that folds out should be scraping against this. Now, apparently this nub needs a bunch of oil on it, or grease. Or we have our grease here, our Lucas grease. Yeah, our Lucas grease here that we had used earlier too for the other pieces on here for the gas shock and everything. But apparently we're supposed to lube this thing up, because when you open the door, right, you can see it folds out, and then it's supposed to rub as it lifts up. This is supposed to rub against this. Now this is metal, so they just want you to grease it so that it rubs on here. And I'll show you that in a second. But the way you adjust this is by this Allen wrench here. Now this is a 6 millimeter. I'm looking at it on there. It's a 6 millimeter Allen wrench, okay? And this little Allen wrench right here is just a screw, and all this does, as you can see here, it just pushes behind. So what that does is it allows the door to open. You can see how the little screw is just hitting the backside. It just depends how far you want to open, and you're just going to adjust it to where this part of the hinge is rubbing against this nub. Again, I'm just gonna keep calling it the word nub because that's the word that they're using, so that you don't want to loosen this too much because you don't want this hitting here or else your door will open up too wide, right? You want it to be tight so that when it comes up, let me see if I can keep filming, and it raises. I'm gonna keep filming here. I'm raising the door. I'm gonna hold it right there so you can see how it's hitting against this nub, right? Scraping. Sorry for the bad camera angle here. It's scraping against this nub, and that is, and then because of that, and also because of this screw here, right? The screw that we've tightened so the door doesn't open too much. So you want it tight. You don't want your door. You don't want your door like shaking, right? You don't want it going back and forth. You want it tight against there. So let me come over here on this side. So you can see here, where's the hinge? You can see the nub, right? And how it's scraping against, and see how it comes up. I'm just gonna hold the camera right there. So it holds right against that nub. And you can see there's a scrape mark on the inside of that hinge. And then it comes down. So I can't go out any farther. Like I can't push my door out farther than that because of that little 6mm Allen wrench screw. Okay? So then that's how it goes. And it just goes all the way up, and then you pull it down. And then you close your door. So that's the way that this should work. And this is the configuration that you need to make sure that you are adjusting this here to make sure that this part of the hinge is rubbing up against this, okay? That is a huge part of this. That is a huge part of this. Put some grease on here, okay? I don't really know how much, or if we have to re-grease this in, you know, month or week or whatever, but I don't want to make too much of a mess either. So, making a mess here already. But, yeah, so put some grease on that thing. And now I'll open the door and put some on the inside. Okay, I just wanted to give a quick video functionality of the door. So the door functions just as always. You can just get out, it opens this much, you can get out, you can close it. When you get out of the door, you can just open it like normal. So that's how far it opens. An arm's length, at least my arms, I'm shorter, but there's an arm's length here where you can easily get out, so I can get out of the car. Totally fine, right? Or if I want to use the new vertical door, I can get out and it opens up. There it goes. I didn't even tell you. You see the gas shock kind of takes it already. I've greased that area, so I've greased that nub and I've greased the inside of that hinge. I don't have to worry about it hitting the car or anything because it only goes to a certain spot. And then to bring it down, same thing. I just grab it, the end, and I pull it close. Now I do want to say that when you have it up, just general physics of leverage, right? You don't want to grab the door close to the hinge. It's going to be very difficult. You want to grab the door more back here for leverage in order to bring it down. So I'm just grabbing it on the bottom part underneath, and I can just bring it down here. And I'm grabbing it more towards, you know, the back side of the door for leverage, right? To kind of, so it's on a hinge, and then I could just bring it closed. So again, I'll show it all the way out. Just let it go, and then I can get out of the car. So simple. Get back in the car. Close. So there it is. Door works no different. Again, I can just get out normal. Door works no different.